The Denver Broncos just received some game-changing news. Ever since 2016, the Denver Broncos have had a massive problem that has plagued them, and it's not quarterback. It's special teams. From one area of special teams to another, the Broncos have always had one issue on that unit since 2016. Be it punter. The Broncos have not been able to find their answer at punter ever since they got rid of Britton Colquitt in 2016. They drafted Riley Dixon, they let him go, they brought in Marquette King as a free agent. That was a massive disaster. Then it was Colby Wadman, then it was Sam Martin. Nathaniel Hackett decided to part ways with Sam Martin, and then they went through the Corliss Waitman disaster in 2022. Riley Dixon was brought back in 2023, where he was pretty inconsistent, and now he's fighting for his starting job with Trenton Gill, who was the punter last year for the Chicago Bears. Then there's kicker. Brandon McManus, for the first several years of his career, was very consistent. Then that consistency started to go off the cliff. McManus then became kind of an off-the-field distraction. Sean Payton wanted none of that. He cut McManus, and that probably turned out to be the right decision, knowing what we know now about what's going on with McManus. And Will Lutz has seemingly stabilized the Broncos' kicking position. But it's really been the coverage units, both the kickoff coverage unit as well as the punt coverage unit, that have had massive issues for the Denver Broncos dating back to 2016. Well, that was until last year, when Sean Payton came in and brought with him Ben Kotwica as the special teams coordinator, Chris Banjo, who was a former special teams ace under Payton in New Orleans, transitioning to the coaching side of his career now, as well as Mike Westoff, who has served for 30 plus years in the NFL as a special teams coordinator. He was brought in last year as the Broncos' assistant head coach and basically the main guru in the special teams unit. Ben Kotwica holds the coordinator title by name, but really it's Mike Westoff who drives the ship in that special teams unit. And the Broncos saw astronomical changes. They saw them go from one of the worst special teams units in the NFL to one of the best, and that can be attributed to the three-way brainchild of Ben Kotwica, Mike Westoff, and Chris Banjo. Well, the good news is, Broncos country, Mike Westoff is back in the fold for 2024. Bringing in this article from Mike Kliss, Westoff has decided to come back, give it one more year. Initially, he was only here in Denver for last year. He wasn't going to stay any longer, but Sean Payton convinced him to come back after the season was over. After the season was over, he was getting ready to go home, and Sean Payton said, "Mike, we don't want you to go." He said, "Stay one more year. Help us one more time." There's one thing that has eluded Mike Westoff throughout his historic career, and that is a Super Bowl ring. Granted, the Broncos probably aren't going to be a Super Bowl team this year, but there's another reason why Sean Payton really wanted Mike Westoff back, and those are the new kickoff rules. The Denver Broncos obviously have a massive weapon when it comes to the new kickoff rules with Marvin Mims, one of the top returners in the game, who made the Pro Bowl as a rookie returner. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that's going to translate with these new kickoff rules, the NFL adopting this XFL style of kickoff. And Westoff said, "We're going to give it a shot. This will add, I estimate, about 130 more special teams plays than we had last year by the new rule." So everything was a touchback last year. Westoff said he could have covered last year. There was nothing to it, so this brings the kickoff return back. How will it work? I think I have a pretty good idea. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things you have to put together. Last year, we were ranked first the whole year. Then we had the muff against New England. Best block returns of the year, by the way. I'd put money on that. But Mims led the league in punt returns. I want us to lead both in kickoff and punt returns. Well, if you could do that now, what difference would that make? I think that would make a difference. So, yeah, man, I think that it's really, really huge that Mike Westoff is back in the building. And dating back to 2018, the Broncos hired Tom McMahon as the special teams coordinator, and he quickly showcased his incompetence for the Denver Broncos. It was absolutely insane just how bad these special teams units were, and it felt like the Broncos special teams unit, and by extension Tom McMahon, lacked situational awareness when it came to football. Then in 2022, it only got worse when the Broncos hired Dwayne Stukes, who was an old friend of Nathaniel Hackett's. I want to bring in this clip right here that was tweeted by Robbie of the Let's Talk Broncos podcast. I got to be careful with it just so we don't get a copyright claim. It was also retweeted by one Mike Westoff earlier today. And this is a perfect example of situational awareness on special teams. So you'll see right here that the Broncos, it's the end of the half. The score bug's cut off, but it's 3rd down and 6. It's the end of the half. The Broncos are up by 4 points, and they do not have any timeouts. So they have to be very careful with this, only having 20 seconds left.
First 2 takeaways.
You'll see that Russell Wilson is going to throw a quick throw over the middle here to Samaje Perine. Again, I just don't want to get a copyright claim, so I got to be very careful with this. Pause. There we go. Or actually, it was Jerry Jeudy, not Samaje Perine. It's normally Samaje who catches in these situations. But it was Jerry Jeudy. And then the Broncos, with no timeouts left, have to run the field goal unit on. You'll see Will Lutz comes on. There's 7 seconds left. They get the snap off with 3 seconds. And the field goal is good. That is situational football awareness on special teams that we would not have seen at all under the Tom McMahon units. We just wouldn't have seen that. And that's also credit to Sean Payton for having his offense prepared there. Obviously, when you're doing a fire drill field goal like this, you keep the current personnel that's on the field. Then, at the end of this game, the Broncos had a similar situation where they had to run the field goal unit on with no timeouts left. They missed the kick, but the Bills had 12 men on the field, and that caught them off guard, that whole fire drill situation. It was just a perfect example of Denver out-coaching Buffalo, and Mike Westoff and Sean Payton were the driving force of that. This is what I anticipate seeing next year, and this is why I feel like the Denver Broncos are going to earn a few more wins than they probably deserve next year. It's because they have good situational football awareness, and that starts with coaching from guys like Mike Westoff and Sean Payton. This is one of the biggest reasons why it's so huge that Mike Westoff is back in the building for 2024. All right, Broncos country, let me know in the comments section below. How do you guys feel about Mike Westoff being back in the fold for the Broncos in 2024? And what type of difference do you think it's going to make in terms of the situational football as well as the special teams as a whole? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are 2 free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out and helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.